This exercise is called a passive range hold, which means we are going to work on taking some of your flexibility or your passive range of motion and trying to turn it into usable active range of motion and build strength in those ranges so it becomes something that you can actually use and own. So for this exercise, you're going to need a stick or something that doesn't bend very well and a nice yoga block or a towel to roll up and put under your elbow to decrease compensations in your shoulder. Now, the movement we're working on is going to be supination, which is turning your palm or bottom of your forearm up towards the ceiling, or even rotating it further and kind of turning it towards the side of the arm that you're working on. So for me, that's towards my left side. What we're trying to do is just feel the outside elbow tissues working really hard and really trying to fail out of this movement slowly if you cannot actively hold the position. So to find your end range position, which is going to be your true passive range of motion, you're going to use your opposite arm. So I'm using this hand, my right hand, to move my elbow into full passive range of motion. The key here is to have really strong grip with your hand and make sure your elbow stays at 90 degrees. Now, you can do this movement with your elbow up here. So we would be working on elbow at our full range flexion, which is different than working on our elbow at full range extension. However, this is going to be more challenging if you do not know how to isolate the movement at your elbow. You will feel that your shoulder wants to help, your bicep wants to rotate out, and now we are working on a little bit of elbow, but also some shoulder rotation. So if you don't know how to do that, we start with 90 degrees of flexion like I showed you. So the initial position for this exercise is finding our end range of motion here without dropping the elbow into extension or without dropping our wrist and losing position. Once you've found position, you're going to contract the muscles that would think about trying to do this motion, right? We're trying to think about rotating further or deeper into that range. So it's going to be the outside elbow muscles. Then you're going to slowly release your external support. So slowly let your hand go and try to hold the position. How much you fail out of it is how much of your passive range of motion that you don't have active control or strength in. Then once you have let go, you can start the time or the clock for your hold, anywhere between 3 to 5 seconds, all the way up to 10 to 30 seconds maybe. If you can't hold it, you might fail out of it slowly like I'm doing. That's okay. Just want you to put the brakes on it and try to control the failure. And then once you have finished the time that you're supposed to hold, then you reset, find the end range of motion again, contract those muscles, and do it all over again for the prescribed amount of reps for that set or for that exercise or for your training day. Just make sure that as you're doing that, you're really isolating the movement at the elbow. We're not compensating, we're not leaning, the wrist isn't moving, and we're not extending or flexing the elbow. We're really just trying to rotate and own those ranges of motion. Over time, you should feel that the difference between where you start and where you end up becomes less and less. And that means you are able to own a lot more of your ranges of motion, which means you're building strength and you're on your way to a lot more mobility and strength in your elbow.